There's something that has been lurking in your foods for decades. You consume it without even knowing it. It is hidden from labels, and most of the time, a difference in appearance is non-existent. With the advancement of technology, we can now genetically modify foods and humans. By using genetic modification and gene editing to alter human embryos, scientists can prevent certain birth defects and diseases in an ethical fashion. First, I will explain what gene modification is. Secondly, why you should support it. And lastly, the different ways gene modification can change the world of medicine. First off, gene modification is the process of altering the genetic makeup of an organism. You may be familiar with the terms modified and engineered, which are often used interchangeably in the context of labeling genetically modified foods or GMO foods. In the field of biotechnology, GMO stands for genetically modified organism, while in the food industry, the term refers exclusively to the food that has been purposely engineered and not selective bred organisms. According to Glaser from the article Manipulating Human Genes, human genome is editing an area of growing prominence, with many potential therapeutic applications. The way genome editing is discussed is often inconsistent and confusing. Simply defining and explaining the terms genome can present many challenges. It is important for scientists to be careful in balancing the ethics and the science of such a controversial subject. In addition to this life-changing technique, new genetic technologies allow scientists to delete a mutant gene and insert a healthy one, which someday may enable doctors to banish diseases. According to Adams, scientists use embryos in laboratory animals, and it has the potential to eliminate inherited diseases such as cystic fibrosis. Until recently, the techniques have been only used in embryos from laboratory animals. Genetic modification would increase human lifespan and the quality of life later in life because people would have to deal with fewer diseases as they get older. Also, it could be used to help the human race adapt to future natural disasters, such as global warming. Third, genetic modification of human embryos is not ethical or a moral problem. To begin with, it has been argued that human genetic modification is an ethical issue because the embryo cannot give its consent. However, embryos cannot give consent in any way, shape, or form, so the argument is invalid. Moreover, in today's time, livestock are often selectively bred to improve the growth rate and muscle mass and encourage disease resistance. So for the past several decades, researchers have been genetically modifying lab animals to determine the ways biotechnology could one day help in treating human diseases and repairing tissue damage in people. According to Stolberg, the discussion of the genetic modification, one controversial issue has been wrong. On one hand, parents who want better genes for their children argue that they are improving their own children's life. On the other hand, some parents contend that it is unnatural. Others even mention that scientists try to play God. My own view is that genetic modification could be the future and help parents with bad genetics avoid the problem of their children having a risk getting these genes as well. Even though genetic modification is a controversial subject, some people believe that the study of and engineering of human genetics is said to be morally incorrect. Although my position is that germline research should proceed carefully and modifications should be used to benefit human life. First, I explained what gene modification is. Secondly, I talked about the different ways that gene modifications can benefit human life and why you should support it. And lastly, I explained the different ways gene modifications can change the world of medicine. This topic relates to every human being with the medical technology advancing. Human genome editing is an area of growing prominence that can produce many potential therapeutic applications, and that's why you should support gene modification.